Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
GSC PAO, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call the station for a voice check.
Station, this is JSC PAO. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear, Rob.
Thanks, guys. You all look great up there, and we're ready to start here at JSC.
Good morning. Mark Carreau for Aviation Week and Space Technology. I have a question for Scott. As the command of the station transfers to you, how do you assess the current resupply situation and the ability of the crew to do as many things as you would like to accomplish on the science, spacewalk, you name it? Thanks.
Yeah, Mark, great question. You know, we just got HTV up here recently, and it really helped with regards to our provisioning and other supplies, and with regards to the science. So we've been busy unpacking it the previous week or so, and now we have the new crew up here for this week, and you know, once they leave on Friday, we'll be busy getting everything off HTV and then repacking it. And we also have a lot of science going on, a lot of science to do, and pretty full schedule leading into the fall and the couple of spacewalks we got planned. So we're very excited about all of that.
Hi, this is Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com. A question for Andy and Scott. As it is an international space station, you each bring to a part of your culture from home to orbit. But as a unique community, the community aboard the space station, have you seen a distinct culture start to take hold in space? Are there traditions, customs, or even small nuances that reflect the fact that for almost 15 years humans have been making a home in orbit?
Good question. I think, I mean, as a visiting crew, we definitely try to make an attempt to fit in with the daily routine that the long-duration guys have established up here. But we also try to bring a little bit from our own culture. I brought a special Danish meal that we all shared over the weekend, prepared by a Danish chef, both to bring a little bit of Danish speciality into the mission, but also to hopefully relieve the guys up here who've been here for a long time and who'll stay for a long time. Give them something a little bit different, give them a break from the routine.
And Mark, and just to add on to that, or Robert, I'm sorry, just to add on to that, you know, I think one of the things that we've established up here culturally is a level of respect and you know, admiration and cooperation and understanding for our different countries and different cultures, and that's you know, something that's made this space station program such a great thing and a great success.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the JSC portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KSC PAO.
Station, this is KSC PAO. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear.
Hello, this is Marcia Dunn of the Associated Press for you, Scott. You're halfway through your mission. How's that feel? And just recently you posted via your Twitter that, you know, if you were going to Mars, you'd be almost there. What kind of a mindset differences do you think are between what you're doing now for 1 year on the space station and how that mindset would change if you were actually en route to Mars?
Yeah, Marcia, that's a good question. You know, I think for the folks who go to Mars, that's going to be, especially the first time, that's going to be such a, you know, an incredible destination and event that you know, they're going to be really psyched up for the you know, getting there. And I'm not saying I'm not psyched up for the rest of this, but in some ways, you know, almost being halfway through, a lot of what we're going to be doing is very similar to what we've already done. And we have a person who's been with us here the whole time that's getting ready to leave us, Gennady, and that's not going to. That obviously wouldn't happen on Mars, so that makes it a little bit different with people coming and going. So I think it's hard to compare the two experiences, but man, I'm excited for the folks that get to go to Mars someday.
Bill Harwood, CBS News for Gennady Padalka. You've said before that when you're on Earth, you can't wait to get back to space, and when you're in space, you can't wait to get back to Earth. Is that still true? And what are you looking forward to the most about coming back to Earth this week?
Но прежде всего мне нужно пройти будет реабилитацию, конечно. Вот подвести какие-то итоги прошедшей миссии. Ну, а я вообще нацелен дальше летать и выполнять, заниматься своей любимой работой.
But I'm gearing to continue working and do my favorite job.
Hi, this is Irene Klotz with Reuters for Scott. At this point, would you have any suggestions or feedback or recommendations for future long-duration station crew who would stay aboard a year or even longer? Anything that you've learned so far that you think might be implemented for people who might follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, Irene, I think my expectations were pretty good, and, I expected this to not be easy. A year is a long time, as I think everyone realizes when they think back to maybe what they were doing this past March when we launched. And the recommendations I would have to folks is just, they have to pace themselves in a good combination of work and rest when you can. I don't think you can do this like you can a 6-month mission where you can wind up being a little bit fatigued at the end. I think if with the same exact pace as I did last time, I would get to the end and I'd be pretty worn out. So that would be my only suggestion to folks.
Hi, Jose Flores, Spaceflight Insider. This one's for Scott. We're always amazed by the pictures we see you guys send back of Earth. And I'm wondering, what was your favorite moment while observing the Earth?
I'll tell you what, last night or yesterday, we had some incredible aurora outside, like none I've ever seen before with regards to how vivid it was. And, we had heard a solar storm was on its way. And usually we think it takes, a couple of days from solar activity to an incredible show outside. But in this case, it was much faster, and the Earth responded much quicker. So I would say yesterday was probably the second most impressive thing I've ever seen. The first thing was when I saw Earth from space the first time.
Marcia Dunn, AP again here for you, Scott, talking about Mars some more. I understand you had a phone chat maybe last month with Matt Damon. Tell us about that, and have you read the Martian book, and are you going to get early dibs on the movie?
Yeah, Chell and I talked to Matt, so I'll let him answer that question.
Well, that was a lot of fun. We heard that Matt was touring JPL at the time, and so we took the opportunity to call down to one of our colleagues who was with Matt, and that was a neat conversation. I think it was certainly fun for us, and from the picture that we saw of him at JPL, it looks like he was having fun as well. It's neat to think about the trip that we're going to have to Mars. I think both of us have read the book. I really enjoyed the book, and I'm looking forward to the movie, and we're hopeful that we'll get a copy up here either on the day of release or soon thereafter.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the NASA portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Moscow, PAO.
Station, this is Moscow Peel. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear.
Great.
Friends, good afternoon. This is Mr. Kurenkov from Roscosmos. We're glad to be greeting you and seeing you now. We're starting the Russian portion of the press conference. Our journalists are going to ask you questions. And I believe that we're going to work in the usual mode. The journalists are going to ask questions. We're going to discuss items as they come up. We're glad to see you. Let us proceed. Good afternoon. This is Murat Gaziev at the channel. We have a question for astronauts and cosmonauts. In movies about space, there are always people who don't always get along in such limited space on board. How do you cope with these?
Astronauts and cosmonauts. In the movies, every space crew has people who struggle to get on in closed quarters. How much drama is there aboard the ISS? How bad does it get?
You'd probably find this hard to believe, but there really isn't any drama. We get along really well here.
Well, I can agree with the commander. I can interpret what he said because that is true. On board, we have a very well-built team where everybody gets along. I don't think there is any space for any arguments between ourselves. Thank you very much. That was from the Russia Today channel. This is Ruslan Rusan. I am from Khabar, Kazakhstan agency. I would like to send greetings from the Kazakhstan people to the ISS crew, entire ISS crew. I'm going to ask questions to Cosmonaut Ambetov in Kazakh and in Russian. Please respond in both languages.
Барша осы жалынды сәлемін жолдап отыр. Айдеке, сіздің балалық арманыңыз орындалды. Сіз ғарыштасыз, не сезіп отырсыз? Және де сізді бүгіндері бүкіл қазақтың балалары көріп мақтан тұтады. Сізге қарап ғарышқа ұшамыз деп отыр. Және де Айдеке, осы ғарыш экипажы қазақтың дәмінен, қазақтың дастарханынан дәм татты ма? Дублирую на русском.
Now in Russian. Dear Aybike, your dream came true. Your childhood dream came true. You're in space. How are you feeling? What are you feeling and experiencing? Could you share it with us? And also, I think people from Kazakhstan and from all over the world are watching. And the children are probably dreaming to become a cosmonaut, just like Ambetov. What would you wish to these children? And another question. Have the crew members tried the national Kazakhstan dishes, and did they like them?
Добрый день всем.
Good afternoon, everyone. My dream did come true. I am finally working in space, in Earth orbit. It is an unusual feeling. That's the experience of zero gravity. At the same time, I'm working in a built together team. They're working like clockwork, Swiss clockwork. To the children who are dreaming of being cosmonauts and astronauts, there is a school for young space explorers. School children, I would like to point out, would like to become space explorers, not just cosmonauts, but to become space explorers and researchers, astronomers. We have already tested, tasted soup jigit and also desserts, ramshak, cake, and cookies. Thank you very much, Rahmet. Thank you very much. Next question. We're limited in time, so hurry up. Nikolai Sokolovsky, Russia 24 channel. The question: who's going to set the new record? Gennady Padalka has been in space for almost 2.5 years total. The question: you see, you are in space quite often. On the ground, we don't always have the such an opportunity. Do you see what is changing on Earth looking up from space? Anything is changing that we are not seeing on the ground? That is a very complex question. I won't be able to answer it right now. It depends on the season. Somewhere the glaciers are melting. We see warming, global warming. I didn't see icebergs so close to the whales in the southern seas. So things are changing briefly. Thank you very much. And the last question. Good afternoon, Sergey Dedov, NTV channel. Also, the question for Gennady Padalka about the accidents of the cargo vehicles on the U.S. and Russian side. How did that affect the crew operations on board? You are correct. Our increment didn't start the way we wanted it to. We had the Progress accident, the Dragon accident. We had to make sure we're conserving our resources to make sure we fit into our reserves, and then our Progress vehicle arrived. And that was very helpful to receive the Japanese vehicle HTV from our colleagues. Right now, we have the opportunity to fly with 6 people on board until the end of this year due to the sufficient supplies. Thank you for your question. And we have a little bit of time. You can continue with the questions, gentlemen. Russia 24 channel. The question in Russian. What did you feel when you stepped through the hatch to the ISS for the first time, and what is the first thing you're going to do, you're planning to do, would like to do once you return to Earth, the very first thing? When the transfer hatches opened and the 2 crews went to the station, the vehicle is so small and there's only the vehicle is so small and the station is so big, we had a feeling of an enormous space and the feeling of freedom. As far as return to Earth is concerned, that would be medical rehabilitation. And second step would be continuing my work in Cosmos, our space agency. Thank you. Thank you. And let's try to get the very last question. Alexander Zabroda. On board, you have some alcoholic drinks on board for experiments. What are these drinks, and are you tempted to try them, to taste them? I believe you have some false data. We don't have any alcohol on board of the station, and even our wipes don't have any alcohol. All the products that are available. You were thinking the question was from the Russian side. So that's the question to the Japanese side. We have some experiments. It's a research. There is a research that we're conducting on our segment. Thank you very much. My advice is, of course, not to ruin your schedule. All the very best. Goodbye.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Mission Control Moscow portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from JAXA PAO.
Station, this is JAXA PAO. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear. Ah, 聞こえますか？
ゆいさん、こんにちは。日経新聞の矢野。
Hello, Mr. Yui. This is Yano from Nikkei newspaper.
ゆいさんが宇宙に行かれて1ヶ月
So, it's been a month and a half since you went to the space. So you are doing plant rotation and other scientific experiments. So what do you think about the value of the experiments that you've conducted?
はい、どうも今日夜遅くにわざわざありがとうございます。やはり実験いろいろやってますけれども、これからやっぱり
Yes, thank you for this conference. It's late in Japan. We are conducting various experiments, but I think we will see different results. In plant rotation, we have these plants rotating and they grow as they rotate, and we didn't know whether that is due to this or we are doing some protein experiments and the crystal is being formed. Pure crystal, if it forms, then it will help drug discovery. And we are now doing the small animal experiment equipment, and we are now making the equipment and checking whether the equipment work well. And if this experiment starts, then an animal which is close to human being, we can see the changes in its functions, and I think this will also help the future study in science.
My name is Agata from Mainichi Shimbun. Your home, Kawakami Village and Saku City, do you have any message to children in your hometowns?
どうもありがとうございます。やっぱり故郷はいつでもいいもので、私も宇宙から日本を見ると故郷のことを思うんですけれども。
Thank you for your question.
応援していただけるっていうのはありがたいことです。
Home is always very nice. For me, when I look at Japan, I always think of my hometown. I'm really glad and that I'm getting support from the people in my hometown, and I'm looking forward to participating in events. For children, I want children to do their best in achieving their dream, and I want them to do what they need to do. Saito from MVS. Well, you now have 9 people on board in ISS. Do you think that the efficiency of work has improved? Do you think that it's better to have more people on board? Thank you for your question. Well, there are 9 people, and it's very lively, and I'm enjoying working in a large group. In that sense, yes, it's more efficient to work. But each of us has different tasks. So we are doing what we have to do, each individual. So it doesn't matter whether there are many people or not. But if we have more people, and then we can do maintenance work more efficiently. So that's I'm hoping for. We also have a food issue and also resource issue, so we cannot simply increase the number of people on board. But I'm enjoying working in a large group, and I think that's very good to have many people on board. Okada from NHK. So HTV, you captured HTV with robot arm. Could you please look back upon it and give us any comment on that? And in space, when you go to the space, You you put many messages on the Twitter about your experience. For example, you say that robots must have arms and legs, and it was very interesting tweet. Is there anything that you discovered for the first time only after you went to the space, or is there any breakthrough in your discovery or thinking after you went to space? Thank you for your question. With regard to HTV, the supply, it was very important for Japan to deliver more supplies. So I was nervous before capturing the HTV, but when I captured it with success, I was really relieved. And I'm very glad that Japan won the recognition from the international community with HTV. And I've got many impressions and discoveries after I came to space. I had a strong confidence in recognizing space, but when you go to space, when you come to space, there's no sense of up and down, any sense of direction. And I felt that the Earth is very small, looking from the space, and so we need to cherish it. I'm from Nippon TV. This question may sound like a joke, but there are 9 people in a very small space. How do you feel? Do you feel that it's very narrow up there? Well, the International Space Station is very spacey, so there is enough space. It's just like a jumbo jet. So it doesn't matter having 9 people in International Space Station. It's very spacey. So having 9 people doesn't cause any problem. MBS Saito. So, how do you allocate the bedrooms with 9 people? Do you have to use a sleeping bag, or do you sleep somewhere else?
寝る場所はですね、今のところ6人で生活することが想定されているので、6カ所しか個室みたいなところはないんですけれども。
The space to sleep, we have 6 people space, so 6 beds. Well, it's an individual room. It's like a telephone booth, and we have a sleeping bag in there. As for 3 new people, we have a smaller space, and they go to their own module to sleep, and they bring the sleeping bags there. As for the comfort, I sleep with the sleeping bag floated, but even with long hours of sleep, it doesn't hurt me, and I dream a very good dream.
This is the last question from Japan.
Okada from NHK. My second question is that until the end of December, you'll be staying in space. So, what do you think? Do you want to stay longer in space? And, of course, you will be staying a little longer. So, do you have any message? What kind of activities do you want the Japanese people to see?
はい、どうもありがとうございます。実はもうすぐ私の滞在も3分の1終わってしまうんですが、やっぱりISS 宇宙は非常に
Thank you for the question. Actually, 1/3 of my stay in space will be completed soon. ISS is very comfortable. I'm starting to think that I don't really want to return to Earth, but soon December will come, so I need to use my time efficiently. Now, the biggest activity is that ISS is so great. We have people from so many countries, and these people cooperate towards the same goal. And that kind of cooperation system is great. That's what I want the people to see. And so I want the people to see how I cooperate with other astronauts. And I hope that I can bring back great results to Earth in December.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the JAXA portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from ESA PAO.
Station, this is ESA PAO in Cologne. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear, Jules.
Hello, guys. Hello, Andreas. You look good up there. I'm in Cologne at the European Astronaut Center, and my first question comes actually from Maggie, that you met before your flight, Maggie from Discovery Channel, and she wants to know if everything that you imagine in space is how it is, in fact.
Well, some things are how I imagined it, but in general, I'd say this is such a unique place that it's very, very difficult to get a real good sense of what it's going to be like until you actually get up here. I mean, we have excellent training, we have good training models, but nothing compares to actually being on board the International Space Station, or even for that matter, launching on Soyuz and being weightless for the first time, and just working on here. It's really a unique place. So, in many ways, I'd say it's almost impossible to imagine what it's going to be like until you actually get up here.
And so we have gathered a couple of questions at ESA on the social network. We have one from the agency Berlingske, actually, and the question is, what went through your mind the first time you looked down to Earth from the cupola?
Well, the first time I saw the Earth was actually from Soyuz. I mean, we spent many hours in there, so I had a good chance to look at the Earth from the Soyuz windows. And so many different things went through my mind. Actually, obviously it's an incredible sight, but I also remember thinking that maybe our movie industry has ruined the moment a little bit, because they're so good now at making such high definition IMAX movies that you can actually go to a good cinema and see something very, very close to what we see. But still, it's what really is incredible for me, at least sitting in Cupola, is this sense of being on board this gigantic spaceship that's slowly circling the Earth, and you get this sort of hum inside the cupola that just reminds me of being on board the Starship Enterprise and kind of arriving at a new planet, and about to explore this new planet. So it's a really cool feeling sitting in cupola.
We have a question from Stefan from the ESA social media as well. We know your timeline is pretty packed now, but how much time do you have for yourself, your free time, and what do you do in them?
I don't have much free time. I mean, a couple hours in the evening usually, around dinner time, and then just before I go to bed. And I mean, obviously I spend a lot of the time in cupola, but I also spend a lot of time talking on the phone with family and friends, and of course hanging out with the guys up here. I mean, they have an incredible amount of experience, a lot of good information to share with me. So it's a combination of a lot of different things that I spend my free time on.
Talking about sharing, we have a question from Jens on the social media. He's asking if you could pick one experience that you're making right now and share it with everyone, what would it be?
I would love everyone to have an opportunity to see the Earth like we do from cupola, because it is a unique experience, and it does give you a different perspective on our planet. So I would certainly love everyone on Earth to have the opportunity to sit up here and look at our beautiful, beautiful planet.
another question about from Serena. You talked about your bonus food, so I understand you had the opportunity to eat it. Was it very different from when you tasted it on Earth?
No, I've heard that your sense of taste changes once you get on orbit, but to be honest, I haven't really noticed my sense of taste change. So for me, the bonus food was just as delicious here on orbit as it was on ground when I had a chance to taste it. And I think everyone enjoyed it.
What was the first thing that you did when you entered the space station?
Well, the first thing we all do, it's very traditional. We have the hatch opening ceremony. We open the hatches between the space station and the Soyuz. We float in. Everyone gets a big hug. And then we have a short press conference. And shortly after that, we have a meal prepared by the station crew to welcome the arriving crew.
We know it's a short trip, but Anouk on the social media is wondering if you got homesick already.
No, there has definitely hasn't been time to get homesick yet. There are so many new things to experience up here, and today is already Tuesday, I think. I've lost track of time a little bit. I think it's Tuesday, and Friday evening. We're already sitting inside our Soyuz capsule returning home. So time has really, really flown past. I have a busy schedule, and it's almost time to come home soon.
Well, talking about coming home, we thank you very much, and we look very much forward to welcoming you in Cologne when you're back on the 12th. Have a safe flight, guys, and see you soon.
Thanks, Jules.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thanks to all the participants. ISS will be resuming normal space-to-ground communications.